All right, not recording.
All right, seems how it's 5:30. This is the Tilton Northfield Fire District Commissioners meeting. It is Monday, June 15th, 2026. We are at the Park Street Station in Northfield, New Hampshire. Those present include the three commissioners, the chief. We have three members from the building committee here, Chairman Kevin Walburn, Alan Reichenberg, and Matt Crozier. And our meeting is starting with RFP Interviews, and from the Turner Group we have Bill Hickey, John Smith, and Proctor. Did well. Perfect. The goal of tonight's meeting is to have the RFP responses reviewed and offer the respondees the opportunities the opportunities to sort of to go over their proposal and allow us to ask some questions. So welcome and thank you for being here. And we came up with a list of questions that we hope to walk away with a better understanding. I think that opening sentence there is pretty indicative of my review of all the proposals we received, from the standpoint that everybody responded appropriately, just did different verbiage and trying to understand it, prepare. So I'll
great, thank you. No, so we put together a quick PowerPoint. We'll go through, try to leave plenty of time at the end for question and answers. Tell you a little bit about the company, tell you a little bit about ourselves, talk about your project, show you a couple of examples of other projects, and then we can go on to the Q&A.
okay, perfect.
Super. So, thank you for having us. Bill Hickey with the Turner Group, John Smith, Doug Proctor. A little bit about the Turner Group, Concord, New Hampshire based. We have 40 people in Concord. The thing that we like is we're both architects and engineers, so we basically everything in-house except for electrical engineering. And we've added Dean Lewis and TNFD to our team, which we've worked with quite a bit in the past. And I think we do have an outside cost estimator included in our proposal. So, founded in 1990. You can see the breakdown of people. We don't have to run through all of it. So, like I said, I'm Bill Hickey, president of the Turner Group, and we'll go and introduce you.
Yes, I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm a 35-year architect, Turner Group. With the Turner Group. I started this year with Turner Group, but we have 35 years of experience as an architect.
Doug Proctor, about 40 years of experience as an architect. I've been with Turner Group for about 12 years, helping build the architecture department. We do a lot of municipal facilities, public schools, all kinds of things.
We're actually doing a little project on that cute little gray building almost right across the street.
Yeah, we're helping Northfield Police figure out their facility.
So a little org chart, just explaining the roles. So John Smith will be the project architect. Like John said, he's new to the Turner Group this year, but has a wealth of experience, including with fire stations.
And John and I actually worked together in a previous life. Went for 10 years together.
Yeah.
So we know each other very well, and we respect each other's ability a lot.
So Doug will be the project principal. Doug is one of the principals at the office, and you can see civil, structural, mechanical, geotech included on our team, under our roof, and our sub-consultants of cost estimating and electrical engineering. So we'd like to ask this question to get the discussion started. So what's important to you about this project? What do you want us to know that we didn't see anywhere in writing about this project?
I guess I'll speak in the sequence to jump in. We're most concerned about inadequate facilities at Center Street where our firefighters live. This obviously is a 160-plus-year-old building. We have ADA compliance issues. We have separation of space issues. We only have the ability to have 2 vehicles there, and then we just need to have more. So we have transportation issues coming down here to get equipment that delaying call response time. We nice to fit into the bays up there. And our community continues to grow, our call volume continues to grow, and we anticipate needing to add more staff.
I think you summed up everything. Yeah, it's just the building, in my opinion, is not safe anymore. We have people staying there 24 hours a day. The apparatus bays are not separated from the sleeping areas. I have people upstairs in an unprotected space with no fire barriers. That's the big one. Coming down those stairs, we were there. It was not a great. I love the place. I've been there for 20 years. And that place. I'm gonna be sad the day we close it down. It's just we've outlived its time there. That's the biggest thing to me. The second biggest thing, like Tim said, is the availability of the ambulance. You know, we're a fire department. Really, we're an EMS department that responds to fire. And not having that second ambulance available immediately is delaying calls by 5, sometimes 10 minutes to drive all the way down here, get the second ambulance and go. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Paul, Jason?
No, I think, you know, with capture it, I think it's, we need to be able to run the operation the way we do and not lose any ground in the transition. But we need a 30-year or 15-year plan. We don't want to build short and then say, oh, no, now what? Or so chief is going to trying to forecast. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know what the staff is going to be. We don't want to do something and then be doing addition. I was on a committee that built its own police department, and I don't know, is this going to do it for a while? Right? Because that's what the taxpayer is going to have. Absolutely. It's a big ticket out of the tip. We want to maintain and improve service for now and for the next couple of decades, you know, for my grandchildren. Right?
So one of the capabilities we have at Turner Group, because we're adding on to an existing facility here, is we have a Matterport scanner which turns the whole building into a point cloud digital model, which we can enter into a Revit system and actually capture this building pretty well with all its features and be able to document it pretty well, and that helps the conceptual design process and integrate it into the new design even better. So, and that we've included that in with part of what we're doing. And this is just a small example of it. This is a Brentwood Town Hall and Police Department. You can kind of see the model with the roof torn off, and then the lower level is the police department there in the plan view. But it really helps guarantee accuracy within the building and also within the site itself. So. John, I don't know if you want to go through this a little bit.
So when we looked at the project, you know, we're sitting there trying to understand for ourselves the scope of the project, so we can give you a response to our proposal here. And I sat down and noodled out a little program. I know one of the issues has been cost. And I know in our site visit walkthrough, we talked about the costs and the idea that ideally the district would like to be half or a little more than where it was last year with the railroad. And so this is a quick little program here that I put together that represents a certain amount of square footage. It was $12,000 for the tube station. So that's not great. But it's like 10 for Northfield, sorry, and 12 for Tilton. But I threw some square footage costs on there, 600 square foot for new, 150 for renovation in this truck bay here, and keeping the truck bay here. To show that we based our fee on $10.8 million in construction costs, and that is based on sort of the square footages and the guesstimation of what I understood of the project. So, you know, obviously we haven't set that up. So this is our
This is a program when you're working in a vacuum, but there'd be an interview process to go through with all the staff and all the shareholders to go through and review exactly what the program should be and also program it for, 20, 30 years beyond, and what does that take to do that, and look at the programs in different ways. And then the program is the first step, and then that leads into the test concept stage, where we just start developing any number of options, looking at different ways to work within the site, work within the building, and see what's possible as to how the program best works and accommodates the future needs. And John did a couple of little test fits for the Tilton site.
Yeah, just to see what that program and what that guesstimation actually meant on each of the sites. So obviously this is the Tilton site next to the police department. And, my understanding from walking through and looking at documents that we had is that the stations are, for the most part, the same size, with the exception that Tilton would actually have a larger administrative area from the district, more offices and such. Whereas this station wasn't really public facing in that way. So your program is good. So again, this is just a test. It's just a diagram to show you what my guesstimate and what our understanding is based on.
And what's the color coding?
Yellow is administration. Orange is support spaces for
the bays.
apparatus bays.
Okay.
And then green is residential or staff areas. So the 6 small rooms at the bottom of the plan there are all sleeping rooms. Fire stations have a lot of different uses in them. It's a complicated mixed-use building. So there's segregation and ratings and stuff that we have to pay attention to. So you'll see in both of them that I've sort of separated out just as a diagram the residential sleeping areas, because I'm trying to find a place to put them that's simpler to segregate them off from the rest of the facility, because we're going to be required to do that.
And trying to do that on one level as opposed to a 2-story building is a lot easier than trying to fix like the Tilton station now. You have fire issues between the 2 floors because you have residences up there, and that's a little more challenging to deal with. So.
Well, your RFP alludes to the desire to control carcinogens and soot and stuff from migrating through the facility for the health of the firefighters staff. So, the idea of stacking something over the apparatus bay, which is often done in the old days, there is more of a challenge there when you start because it's just it's not the best number to try to separate.
Looking at Northfield.
Here at Northfield, in addition, that basically everything goes off to the left over here. But we did, based on square footage, 4 apparatus, 2 larger apparatus, 2 smaller. Again, that's my guess because I don't have a list of your equipment. But we did utilize this corner of the bays here for some of the utility functions and the support functions. But of course, when we sit down and review this, it could look completely different.
And it appears that, with these types of layouts, that both sites have ample room to look at different types of options and different layouts and adjacencies. So. And this is what I was talking about. There's any number of options we can look at. These are just some examples of different stations that John has developed in the past.
Yeah, the station on the left is the floor plan and up the lower site plan, that's Litchfield Center Station that was built in 2018, 19. I was the architect of record for that project. I think that actually most closely represents what you might be looking for your building facility. That does not have sleeping in it. There are no residential spaces in it. But the comparison, and I believe there's an elevation coming, that is actually a wood building. So it was a very reasonably priced project at the time. It was like $4.2 million. And it is in that 12,000 square foot range.
But with each of these,
The right-hand one, I don't want to forget, the right-hand one represents Laconia Central Station. I did the additions to either side of the original Laconia Central Station. That's a 3-story facility, look at it, and it's also has a raised area in the back, so the apparatus floor is actually 2 different levels. So we have that little tail at the bottom of the plan there that you see is actually more just for utility storage, because they do have a rescue boat, a couple of trailers and stuff like that, because that's sort of at the end of the employee parking lot on the back side of the building. But it was a tight site. The city bought 2 parcels next door, but it was still tight.
So with each option that we develop, we kind of look at like 3 to 4 options per site of what we're doing. And then the idea is that we come back and see what works the best and then synthesize that down into a final option that we all agree on should be priced. And that turns into construction costs, and then through that we would turn it into a project budget. So project budget also includes design fees, engineering, any equipment, any kind of if you chose any solar on the buildings or anything like that, any site work, geotech, any plan survey work that we need to do, or any kind of special equipment where you might have vendors for communication or anything where we have to make alterations to the building. We know we will need new systems over at the Tilton station. And then any other miscellaneous moving costs or anything like that. So anything that could affect the project cost is incorporated into that budget. Another thing that we do, which we think we're really good at, is providing accurate drawings and specifications as a cost savings to the project, so you don't incur a lot of additional costs through change orders. We also incorporate bid alternates into projects, so that what's really crucial with most projects is that they start on schedule. The construction starts on schedule and maintains that schedule, and that when we do school projects, that's even more important because you're dealing with the school year and kids and everything. So what we do is we incorporate bid alternates into every project. So those might be things that are really nice to have in the finished product, but don't necessarily need to be there. Maybe a flooring type or a ceiling treatment or some piece of equipment or something like that. We'll turn those into alternates. They will sit outside the beginning budget, but they'll have costs put on them during the bid process. They'll be incorporated into the drawings, but not into the construction budget right away. Then what we found as contingencies, our dollars are released because of efficiencies through the design. Those items can come back into the project. So what that does is it guarantees that the project moves forward, the budget is good, and that the project can move forward in the end, and you have all those alternates incorporated into the project. We also support the whole bid process with any CM, and we do work with a lot of different CMs in the area and have very good relationships with them. And Again, on the project budget, any vendor costs, any operational costs, can be incorporated. And any phasing costs, because phasing might be an issue with this building if you're building outside and if for some reason it affects something we're doing in here. Because, one option he showed you did incorporate something into the middle here. That's a phasing issue, and we need to look at the schedule and how that's dealt with. And then, we also incorporate sustainability into all our projects with, superior envelopes, low maintenance equipment. We're trying to make these facilities for any project that we do, moderate cost, but also easy to maintain in the end. So we don't have a lot of problems that you have to deal with.
Can I make a comment before
Yep.
you go forward, specific to your project here? I know that you're looking at hiring a CM, right? And that's the next step. And normally, we would utilize that CM for cost estimating and constructability. It's one of your questions here, which we can talk about further. But I wanted to point out that in our proposal, we're carrying a full cost estimator as well. So ideally, when we get to the end of the year and we're giving you a number, we should be having a competitive cost between our cost estimator and the CM that you guys end up selecting. So that'll give us some reliability in the number that we see. And honestly, it probably will give them the opportunity to talk back and forth comparatively to make sure that we're all on the right page. That's not something we normally do with the CM involved, because the CM usually, we rely on them from their experience in the work or in the construction environment to do the estimates. But here you're giving me that second set of eyes.
Yeah, and one of the big parts of any public project is out there. You want to get the word out about what you're doing. And we found over the years with all the projects that we've done is to get the facts out there as quickly as possible, to try to dispel any rumors, you're building the Raj Mahal, the Taj Mahal, whatever Mahal it wants to be, and to allow people to say, no, the facts are out here, and you can dispel any rumors of anything that over the top this or whatever that. So how would we support you guys with that? So we could help set up the website, help populate the website with information about the project, graphics about the project. If you're going to have an open house, show people what you're up against now. We're here to support you for the open house. Public listening sessions. Printed material. If no matter how hard you try, you're not going to reach it. We always say you've got a third with you, you've got a third against you, you've got a third you've got to convince that this is a good project. So just trying to get as much information out as possible, truthful, factual information is something that we can help you with, and something that will allow the project for success. We were at an interview last week, and we were saying we probably have a 90% success rate on our publicly funded bond road projects over the last 10 or 12 years. So we take a lot of pride in that. So we are certainly here to help. And we have some folks at the office that are way better than this than I am. So they would be the folks that would help you, whether it's the road signs or, we had a project, it was actually a school project in Allenstown. And what they did is they handed out green and white ribbon to all the project supporters and asked them to tie it to the mailbox, tie it to the tree out front, tie it to somewhere. So that support grew over time. And it was a project, very surprisingly, that passed bond vote on try number 1. So that was awesome. So we're here to help support you with that effort to get the word out.
The great thing about the ribbon thing is that if people didn't understand what the ribbon was for, they would go ask whoever had the ribbon, and they would start a conversation on supporting the project.
And you get those little road signs in January and February, they tend to be hard to place. So.
As I mentioned previously, I was the architect of record for Litchfield Fire Station, also the project architect for the fire station. Both within the last, Coney was 2015, Coney was 2015, Litchfield was 2018. And I know one of the things that you mentioned, and I'm going to bring it up again, is the whole conversation within the fire station. The interesting thing is, when we were working on Laconia, that was sort of just prior to that realization really being coming out in the industry. And we made some changes during construction in order to improve the station with the information that we were learning. And we had the ability to actually use it from the beginning at Litchfield. So that is a better model as far as how to address those concerns.
This is just a slide about related experience. We've done a lot of assessments for fire departments throughout the state on their existing facilities, Bedford, Concord, Jaffrey, Merrimack, Plymouth, Salem. We're currently working with Waterville Valley. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Waterville Valley station, but they're in tough shape. And unfortunately for them, we were able to do the assessment, but part two of the bond failed this year because there's already a $100 million wastewater treatment upgrade that they're paying for. So the chances of getting anything passed were pretty slim. But, we're going to continue with Waterville. We're going to keep working with them. Their station was built in '76 with no additions, no renovations, it's interesting. They have a ladder truck like you guys do, and the police car parks underneath the bucket of the ladder. It's definitely, I've never seen anything like it. But, the point being, we've never had anybody, in-house with John's design experience with fire stations. So now, the assessment and the design of the solution, we can truly say, we can do all that.
So, one big picture, one of the things Turner Group has in their mission is to support our local communities and help them develop projects. Because there's a lot of communities here, with financial challenges and departmental challenges and facility challenges, and we realize that. And we love to support our local communities, and these are just some of the communities around here that we have. We're working with Northfield Police Department right now to help them figure out what to do to basically upgrade their existing facility, which was more or less a house that they adopted years ago.
This started as an assessment of the police station, the highway department, and the transfer station. That's where we started, and now we're here.
Right. This is scheme 3. We're on scheme 6 right now. So, but I think that's another example of when we just keep looking at it until it feels like the right project, and we just keep going. And that's just another form of support that we provide. People will come back to us the following year and say they want to take another look at something, and we're just there to help. This is Brentwood Police Department. We're looking at, you saw that earlier point cloud model. We're looking at taking the police department out of the town hall there and providing them with a new facility. So we're working on that with them right now, and we probably did 3 or 4 options for that one. And we're taking another look at it this year. They opted not to go for warrant on it last year. This is Belmont Police Department Public Safety. We did this probably in 21, I believe, 21, 22, something like that. Really successful project, great clients to work with. This facility was built very close to the existing police department, so we know about phasing and trying to work with the builder to try to figure that out. It was only about 20 feet away from one corner of the existing building. And in the end, it was determined to leave half the existing building so that they could use that for storage and an evidence vehicle storage bay, so they can put stuff over there.
And your current chief in town here now was the chief in Belmont when we did this project.
Right, Mark Lewandowski. So he's police chief here now.
He was happy to see us.
They got him out of retirement.
I just want to let you guys know, we have about 15 more minutes.
We're gonna wrap up real quick.
We don't have to wrap up, I just want to.
No, we want to give you time for your questions. So,
Samberton, we helped them with a police department and town hall, probably in the same, about a year later after Belmont. So this is the town hall that was developed, and we turned the existing town hall into a police station because before they were in about 800 square feet in the fire department.
just the typical phases of a project, right? So this would be kind of schematic design initially up to the bond vote, and then after that, jumping into full design development, construction documents, and then construction administration through the build of the projects.
Right, so I think our fee is broken up so that it gets you to the bond vote and then it stops. And with a successful bond vote, then the rest of the phases happen.
Yeah. We do have the full.
Time for questions.
Q&A.
Well, it's just, we have a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
If I could take a shot at number one, sorry, since it's the first one on the list. So we work in a schematic design building construction document. That's the traditional architectural path, right? And to get to town vote or to March, that's pretty much maybe a slightly embellished schematic design for your CM to actually take and do their cost estimating and then GMP, if that's what we're asking for them at the end of the year. But our process would be to start with, I know you guys have gone through this like at least 5 times that I know, right? So start with what was done in the past. Review, sit down and review it with you. We're going to call them the stakeholders is the words we use. And the stakeholders is whoever you guys decide is the right people to be at the table. I mean, if we want to talk to people from the community or yourselves or whatever, we're willing to talk to anyone. And we look for your help to guide us on the right people for that. But we're going to start by looking at the past. We're going to look at the facility. We're going to do our scan and get our existing conditions all together. Then we're going to start a design process. The program is the first step. Maybe a quick code review program. We sit down and figure out what are the spaces you need, how big are they, and talk it through. There's a value to doing that before we start getting into diagrams and floor plans, because we want people to really look at it more analytically. And then when we start making the floor plans, things change because it doesn't translate 100%, right? And we realize things along the way. Your question is, one of the parts of this question is deliverables. So I'm looking at this as we broke our schematic design into 3 phases in our proposal. So that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 is all schematic design to us. And so we broke it out so that you better understood what happens in the next 9 months versus the whole. I don't know if I'm answering this concisely, but
I think for you guys just to know, so a schematic package is roughly a 30% package, right? Design development is 60%, and then obviously construction documents are complete set. So, that would be roughly a 30% set of drawings.
right. When we get done with schematic design, we should have plans, elevations, building sections, a wall section or 2 that shows the full construction of how we're going to do each facility, and an outline specification that we will review with the CM.
Which phase would you see the CM becoming part of?
Earlier the better.
Yeah, we would love to have it as soon as you can get them on board.
We like to say, so probably 80 to 90% of the work that we do is with construction manager. We always like to say it's a 3-legged stool. You've got the owner, you've got the design team, and you've got the construction manager. And to have all 3 in place as early as possible is great, because we may start designing something and, they may go, hey, you know, did you know that material is really expensive, or we could do it this way, or we tried that here and it didn't work so well, you know, and so that early buy-in, and then as they go to bid it, they have a really good understanding of the project from being involved for so long. So yeah, earlier the better.
And in the proposal, we had assumed that we'd have a CM by the end of August, which gives it a little time, because I know it takes time to put out the RFP and go through all the steps, right? But we would be bringing to you, you know, schematic designs at that point, and probably our first attempt at a outline cost estimate with Kinesco, our cost estimator. And then you'd be bringing in the CM around that same time. So that was our assumption, at least.
Yeah, and I think the only consultant we would use is D&K and the cost estimator. Everything else would be done in-house. We don't see any additional cost during this pre-bond. Everything's included in the price we gave you. And we would team, like you said, you know, we want you to be happy. I'm sure the construction manager is the same. We're only as good as our last project. So we work very well, and we try to work very well with everybody. Just, you know, we want a successful project.
I'm more interested in questions 2 and 3.
Okay.
Specifically, we know we're a little bit behind the 8 ball here, but from what you've seen so far, is being able to go to the district meeting achievable?
Yes.
You know, we know you need numbers for the end of the year, basically, right? So you're ready for your documentation. That's true? So we absolutely could hit that schedule for sure.
That's been our assumption.
I think the biggest challenge is with the decision, right? Options are presented, and having decisions made that allow things to move along is going to be critical to the project. And that's kind of on you guys. We'll help you, we'll help. We can give you information, we can answer questions, but ultimately what you're getting, what you want, we need to know so we can move this thing along.
So what we found in the past is actually setting up, you know, a weekly or bi-weekly meeting schedule so that we're staying on task and everybody has their tasks that they need to do. And we're coming back every week or two and making sure that those are done and staying on schedule. I mean, really, you want to have this information to a CM maybe by end of September, early October, to really have time to develop good numbers so that when you get into November, you know what needs to happen.
And one of the critical steps to making sure all this happens is there's minutes taken at each meeting, and there's tasks assigned. And when you're meeting every week or every other week and you've got a task list and you know what it is, you make sure you get it done.
Right. It also becomes a record of,
Yeah.
you know, all the decision-making processes.
So it's just making sure to have that regular meeting and keep things moving and on time, on schedule.
All right, moving on to question 3, we're heavy concerned about maintaining the use of this facility while this is all happening, because obviously we have limited space to start with. And we assume that there's savings in working on the whole project at the same time as compared to building it there and building it here. And even if we were to build up there first, again, we won't have enough room up there to free up this building. So we actually, when we work in central, we have to maintain the use of it.
Sure. Phasing. It's all about phasing, right? And, working with the CM, because that's, really we can help with the phasing, we typically do, but the CM's going to say, hey, we'll get the foundations in up there, we can do the foundations next down here, we can do some framing up there, we can do some framing down here, just to keep things going.
But yeah, having them go on simultaneously is going to be a savings to you because you're paying less for general conditions for time.
Mobilization.
Right.
And mobilization and all that. I mean, one of the features about John's first exploration on this site is that most of it's off to the side there, so they can be working over here and leaving this whole area functioning.
We have a lot of experience working on occupied buildings, so we know how much fun it is for the occupant that there's construction going on in the building. It's a temporary headache, hopefully, for a nice solution. But I think, you know, you guys knowing that and being scheduled properly, the CM weighing in on that, it'll work. It'll be a headache, I'm sure. Probably everybody here's had their kitchen renovated. You know how much fun that is. It's just a big kitchen.
We're working on Barnstead Elementary School right now, and they're in full operation. They'll be out of school tomorrow or whatever. But we have 5 additions going on to the building. One huge one is 34,000 square feet, and 4 smaller ones. And we're working through all that phasing and keeping them in operation.
And like the first phase of that will be turned over for the fall, right?
Right.
Be ready for the kids in the fall, and then the rest will follow. But it was all carefully planned with the school and the CM.
Right. They'll also be renovating the inside of the building too.
Yeah.
I come from a healthcare background, and we worked in hospitals and nursing homes and these other types of critical buildings that have to be in operation at all times. So I've had a lot of experience laying out, phasing plans and phasing documents and working. So I can tell you Sullivan County Nursing Home is just finishing now. That was a 3.5-year build in 6 phases of construction. We kept that building operational for the full time.
Do you have anything else?
I mean, we'd love to help you with your project. We'd love to help you guys figure this out and get something accomplished.
Yeah, something this close to our, we have folks that live in this area. We're all from this area. Obviously, we'd love to work with you guys and produce a very successful project. So, I think any questions, feel free to reach out to John. If you want us, we'd be happy to come back and discuss further, or if you have questions, just give John a call and answer whatever questions you may have.
All right, perfect. Now I have a card.
There you go.
So, are your cards now?
Feel free to reach out to Belmont or Northfield or Samberton about, how we did for them. And
We'll walk
I
across,
think
the street.
Yeah. Talk to Mark for a little bit.
So, cool. All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Good to meet you. Thank you, Ron.
Have a great day. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have that for Kathy, and I'll make sure she can put that in the record.
PDF too, if it would be helpful.
Actually, yeah, if you could send that so I can send it to Kathy, that would be a lot easier than scanning it in. Perfect.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
I think I got everything. All right. Thank you.
We'll be here.
Have a good night.
This is Mike. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
If I could just have 2 minutes and then I'll.
One minute, just 1 minute.
I gave 90 seconds.
Mike Petro, nice hearing you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Are you expecting anyone else?
I am not.
Okay. Perfect. Come on up and have a seat.
Alan Hartberg, this is one of the members of the building.
Okay, great.
We're not shouting out all the questions. We don't ask, we gotta do that.
There'll be another session for that. I'm Mike Petro.
Paul Joe.
Mike, Jason, right? Nice to meet you, sir.
presentation screen. I did.
I just want to make sure the battery's still good. I brought extra batteries. Just in case. This is the battery's still full, so we're good. So we're still recording there, and we're still
Have we recorded all 2 minutes?
recording.
You have a list of questions?
Yep, I already I gave it. Okay. All right. Great, I gave you. Please answer the question.
So you can hear?
I can.
Don't block the camera. So it's like we received several responses back. The information we asked for is included. Everybody sort of formatted a little differently, so we're trying to
Don't take creative liberties.
get to know you and make sure that we're all in today's voice. So there's some information we want to cover, and then we want to do sort of a list of questions or whatever we're hoping to come away with.
So I'd like to just go through a few things, just to kind of learn a little bit more about me, other than you learned from our presentation. So I'm Mike Petrovic, the principal of Mike Petrovic Architects. I've been at this for 40 years, so I appreciate the opportunity tonight to do this. I want to just talk a little bit about your project and how I see it a little bit, how we might approach it, and some of the things that we see are really, really exciting about this project for us. Really what came to mind is when I met with the chief and we walked through the facilities. It was most apparent when he mentioned kind of the budget range you'd like to be in, and I think that's probably one of the most important things about this project is to understand what your communities can bear in terms of a project like this. It's not fun to design a project that a committee or district or department thinks this is what we need and this is what we want, knowing that that's probably not going to be approved. And that it's going to take several iterations of compromise to get it to where it's approved. So that was really an exciting thing. But also, as you turn and open this little handout that I gave you, I mean, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is listening first. And as I went through Center Street, and then looked at the new site, it's clear that the existing Center Street station has served the communities for generations. And the clear path there is replacement. Park Street, this is a great building. We talked about this will remain. There's an addition. We have some thoughts already about how that might happen here, and it looks like that's one of the questions on here. So we'll talk about that a bit. And it's very rare that you get a site like Sanborn Road that's a beautiful flat site. I mean, that's just not in New Hampshire. That's not a common thing. So that was great. You know, doing fire stations, it's designed with a purpose. It's about health and safety of our first responders. It's decontamination, their wellness, mental health, all of those things that affect them. It's also operational efficiency. Every department has a culture. Everyone operates just a little bit differently. I can't come here with what I've learned at other departments and say, here's what you should do. You need to worry about you and how you want to operate and make it work for you. And then future flexibility. I think looking at Center Street, you've gotten your money's worth out of that station. It's been altered over the years and made to work. We try to do design buildings that are 50, maybe 75 years. We can't do something that in 25 years the department needs to go back to a community and say we need to replace it. That's just not going to happen. So, and the flexibility is that we had staffing changes over the years. We're all talking about EVs, we're talking about drones, and how does all that work? And ultimately, we have to do something together and collaborate on this that's going to help you get consensus of your community. We look at this in terms of a concept, consensus, and construction. And so we do programming, concept planning, budget evaluation, community engagement, and funding authorization, and then ultimately design and construction. We're there through the entire process. We've worked with several of the communities that we've been in to really help them do their consensus building and present to the community multiple times. Help them build their transparency plan so that the communities are involved in the process and understand what's coming and feel like they have a say. And if you look at the project examples, which they were in our proposal, but I'll mention it again, Town of Westmoreland, that station's completed. They were literally operating out of the 1950s, two-stall building. There was no neighbor. They basically pulled from the building out onto a state highway. And so it was dangerous, and they had a $2.5 million budget pre-COVID, but we got it, we did it, and it's a great little station. Town of Walpole is a fire district, actually. It's North Walpole and Walpole. We've been working with them for several years. We broke ground. We're just waiting for the existing building to be demolished and a new 14,000 square foot building there. We're currently working with Winchester, Stratford, and Hinsdale, and Charlestown. They're all in various stages of approvals. Some have acquired the property and now looking at pursuing funding. A lot of really smaller communities have to look for some level of grant support to build their stations. So that's what they're in the process of doing. So ultimately, I've been invited 2 years in a row, 2025 and 2026, to talk about right-sizing the fire stations for rural communities at the Station Design Conference last year in Phoenix, this past May in Reno. Next year I'll be in Orlando. So I'm really plugged into what this is all about, and it's a kind of passion of mine. If my firm could only do fire stations, I would. And so it's a great group of people to work with, and they're passionate about what they do. We're passionate about helping them do what they do best. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Yep. So we received 5 proposals for this project. Each approaches a scope somewhat differently. Please walk us through proposed services for contract awards anticipated. So ultimately, it's about programming. It's about learning about your department. And you've done programming when you had a previous study or kind of went down a path with design build. You know what you need, you know what you want. It's looking at that programming and understanding how does that right size for your community and your departments. And also keeping that budget in the back of our minds. We're going to come in here knowing roughly what these buildings are going to cost per square foot to build, how many square foot should be in roughly each building, what can fit in, and then if you look at the programming, how does that work out in size? Once we have a program, we can start to look at flow diagrams and look at floor plans and how those come together. And then we start to look at the exterior of the building. Every community has a history. Every community has something that will work there. Other things won't. Westmoreland, we did a modern station in a historic community, which worked out well. And then it's getting to, we're always checking estimates along the way, and then we have a full-time estimator on board who will actually prepare a detailed estimate for us so we know exactly what our construction budget needs to be. And then our deliverables are going to be graphics, exterior views, interior floor plans, program, and a full budget, which we'll deliver as part of that package that now goes out and helps us to help you secure funding in the community and do public presentations. And those graphics are something we do over and over and over. And again, transparency. What work is included in our fee? There's many meetings. There's meetings with the committee. There's meetings with staff. Meetings with other folks that are stakeholders to understand what is needed. How do you operate? This is not a staff station. It's going to become a staff station. What does that look like? Again, every department works a little bit differently. There's an idea of what a staff station program looks like and how it functions, but what is that going to look like here? As far as consultants in the schematic design phase, as we start to develop a building floor plan and building exterior, what the envelope looks like and aesthetically how it's going to start to take shape, we involve structural, we involve MEP, and we involve obviously civil and site. And we ask those folks to develop narratives that really detail out what the systems are going to be. We want to understand what this thing will be structurally. I envision both of these facilities to be wood frame buildings. I think that's an economical way to go. We've been very successful building a Category 4 fire station, and public safety buildings in wood frame. A little bit of steel in them to get the larger spans where we need them, but ultimately it's an economical way to go. So we want to know all of that up front so that as we do that final estimate, the estimator is really aware of what's in that building. We'll even discuss to some degree finishes such that folks understand what they're getting inside the building. So that as the estimate is done, it's an accurate representation of what's going to develop once funding is secured and we go into design development and construction documents. And what additional costs should the district anticipate during pre-bond phase? I honestly don't see any in that phase. We've got civil on board to take care of some things there. We may want to do some geotechnical on the site to understand what's here that way. And how would I work with a future construction manager to develop reliable cost estimates? Well, construction manager usually comes on board during design development, at the beginning of design development. Their bid process uses the documents we've generated and the estimate we've generated during the schematic design phase. That's their bid process. And you bring them on and bid out that you're going to understand their percentage of markup, their overhead costs for the overall project, and what their pre-construction costs will be. And that's what you'll use to, then they're going to start to generate estimates through design development and construction documents as a checkpoint. So we don't get to the end of this thing and now suddenly we have to do all this value management and changes as a relative cost. We're checking costs. That's how we work with all of our projects. Stuff we've done in Massachusetts is all design, bid, build. It's a little more challenging. So I much prefer construction management, and we're working on it too right now. The district's goal is to present the project for bond at the March 27th district meeting based on experience with similar public safety project facilities. I definitely believe that the schedule is achievable. That will be, we will be aggressive about moving this along. It's whether the committee and the stakeholders are as aggressive and comfortable moving at that pace. That does mean that we need to be ready to do public presentations by the end of December. That's doable. That's definitely doable. What challenges or risk would impact that timeline? I don't really see any. Schematic design does not usually present incredible challenges. The only thing that would happen is if we get some geotechnical information that suddenly says there's something major with the site that's going to cause a problem. We just want to know that now so it's in the budget. What specific steps would your team take to keep the project on schedule and position the district for success? That is just us keeping up with meetings, deliverables, and then giving you timelines for review. If there's outside of a meeting, a review that needs to be done by a committee or other stakeholders, that stuff needs to happen in a timely manner. We'll keep our schedule. There'll be a team devoted to this that's going to keep it moving on our side. It'll just be if there's anything on your side that starts to and as soon as that starts happening, so if we want to make it the end of December, January timeframe, publicly presenting this could affect that. We'll let you know. Very comfortable doing that. Park Street project creates a new facility adjacent to an existing structure that must remain operational during the project. Please describe your approach to making this project successful. So I do want to point out the Walpole Fire Units, which is this project here. The apparatus bays adjacent to this are going to remain functional while we tear more than half the building down against it. And so that is not a difficult process. This is actually easier because we're not tearing something down next to it. This building, in order to connect to this, I envision that there's a transition space that connects this to the new building, which is the staff quarters and offices and all of that. And so this can absolutely remain functional while the building is built next to it. It happens all the time. It's not uncommon. Minimize disruptions to emergency response operations. Occasionally, depending on power situations, water situations, and that sort of thing, there is very minimal disruption. Typically, though, when it's an emergency response building, it's next to nothing because you can't shut this place down. It's got to operate. So that's on the CM to make that work. and along with our MEP people, structural people, there's nothing structural we're going to interact with here, so I don't see that as a huge issue. What challenges you anticipate and how would your team mitigate them? You know, again, if there's around this building anything that's subterranean, that's unknown, at that point, that could delay things during construction. That just is, there's got to be, for something like this, there has to be contingency in there for things financially that happen, and there is contingency in schedule that allows that to happen. So therefore, that's how we mitigate them. We come to the table. The beauty of the CF is that everybody's on the same team. Nobody's bidding against each other, and that's why that system, in my opinion, is the best deliverable. Because when there's a problem, everybody sits at the table. What are we going to do? We have hit multiple issues in the Walpole project because they went after congressional delegated spending funding, which is now administered through the U.S. Rural Development Authority, and constantly hitting roadblock after roadblock with that. And everybody had to come to the table and provide information to get that going. So it's been a year and a half delay. So I'm comfortable with dealing with mitigation, dealing with delays. It's about the team members all realizing that we're all there to work for you and not pointing the finger. Have you completed similar projects involving additions or new construction adjacent occupied public safety facilities? Just went through. We're about to do that same thing with Cheshire County EMS. We finished that project 3 years ago. They just hired us to double the size of that facility over the next year and a half. So that facility has 6 ambulances that serve Cheshire County. We will be doubling and constructing that facility over the next year and a half, and that has to remain totally functional.
Was that a case of something major changed that they didn't build the building out probably 3 years ago?
So it was a unique situation. They realized they saw a need that came on very quickly in Cheshire County, that small other rural communities just didn't have ambulance service. And communities were dropping ambulance service because of the cost of it. And so they saw a need, found a piece of property. We put up this building and then took what was an existing building and created housing and space for staff for 24/7. And it got up and operational. They had no idea how successful it would be. Fortunately, it's successful and is not failing. Now we're actually, so the building that we converted into space, we're actually going to get mobile units, put the people in mobile units, tear that building down, and do a huge addition, and add 6 more ambulance bays, and housing for 17 staff, and actually a full kitchen, day room, and all that. So everything is getting, is now 3 times the size of what we designed originally. And so it actually is successful. There was nobody said, I don't think we need this. It just was like, we don't know what to expect. They got a grant, so this is the amount we have. Figure out what we can do. So I think, we have demonstrated experience by working with things that have to keep running. It's very rare that a department, we thought we were going to have a new station in Charlestown. The town voted down the town meeting because they wanted where the old station is. So now we're going to figure out a temporary building for the station operator. I wouldn't tear it down, the station there. Anyway, what else can I just describe a public safety facility project that most closely resembles this project? So I think I've described 2, potentially 3, Walpole, Cheshire County, and Charlestown. That they're similar in size. Walpole has 2 other fire stations. They're a district that serves 2 communities. And it was balancing the town with the district. But I think, it's also a new station or adding to an existing station. It's actually, the new part of the building is more than what was there. So it's, and then I think, we've built, West Point is a brand new station. So we've kind of done all of what you're asking us to do.
You had estimated in your proposal, I'm not on the construction manager. What was that?
It's based on experience currently in projects we're doing. And so there's every single one of them. So when you do this, you have to be actually go for their bid, you have to be very specific how you want their bids to come in, because every one of them, like us, will do it their way. That was based on current projects we've done.
And do they usually bid based on the size of the project or the
They do.
estimated cost?
It's usually estimated cost. It's also schedule time frame that they think it'll take to build it. If there's something unique, for instance, a mall pole, we're tearing half the building down. It's a pretty big building to demolish, so it adds a little bit of complexity to it. And the fact that they have to operate that station, so there's disconnecting power, keeping power running to the apparatus base. So schedule adds a lot to that. And every situation is unique. This will be a little bit more unique than just building a new building. It's the other way. But the beauty of that is it's a new building, they move from Central Station to the new building.
Other questions?
Sure, as soon as you leave, I'll think of a few.
Well, if you have more questions, please don't hesitate to email me and see if we came up with a couple more questions. Please answer these.
Where do you
So we're at Keene, New Hampshire, and Amesbury, Mass. I have 2 offices. And staff in both.
what is your student?
So our staff is in both. We have 2 in Keene and 4 in Amesbury. And everyone was in Keene until 3 years ago, and then 2 people there wanted to move to the Keene office because they were younger people. They wanted to be closer to Boston and for social life. I used to teach at Keene State in the architecture program, so more than half of my staff were former students. So they were unmarried young folks that just came after being there for 4 years, and then 4 years working for me decided they needed a change. So we went with that.
So, yeah, I mean, like I think you said 2 and 3 are really the questions that I think we expanded on those quite a bit. The timeline, nervous about the timeline. We tried to have this get out earlier. We got delays, but we need to allow the time to happen.
Timelines are something we all think we can plan perfectly for, and it just doesn't work out that way. I'm comfortable that you're looking to get going here soon, that for what you're doing, for what you know already, if you hadn't done that previous study, I'd say be time, because you would be starting fresh and wouldn't really have any idea. You've been through this once, you have an idea of what doesn't work, what works, roughly what you need. And you certainly have an idea based upon our discussion of what you're looking for, and that's very helpful. You're a third of the way there. It's up for us to interpret it and make it all work. And I'm assuming the budget you roughly gave me is where you'd like to be.
I mean, that's, just by judging it, the budget is not mine the budget is the commissioners in the town. The budget is what I see with those numbers. I talked with all the firms, and what I see is a viable budget and the sizes we're looking for.
Be comfortable with the community. So
Yeah.
that's important. And if you start, some departments we start and they're the whole process of, well, that can't work. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, Tim, we have about 20 minutes till the next one. Do you want to recess and stop the recordings, or do you want to talk?
Well, I have a few comments on this so far, and then maybe we can look at the building committee chart while we're waiting.
Yeah, sounds good.
One thing I would ask of the recording of today, if that doesn't post to the website until after tomorrow's session.
Okay.
So she should get posted tomorrow.
I didn't even think of that. Thank you.
Otherwise, it should just be one 2-day meeting, like continuous meeting.
Right. Right, so if we can jump over to the charts that we saw last week. And again, the question would be, how do you feel about that? And
Is there any discussion or changes or concerns?
Fit on one page, that was good. Concise is,
That wasn't what we were trying for.
no, I mean, this is where I started. Okay, this is focused and
I think, you know, and Kevin and Matt and Helen may remember the first charge to the building committee like 4 years ago was this two sentences that was so vague.
yeah.
Didn't really give the committee any direction. And then we came back with that whole report from the chiefs, which was 2 pages of, well, this is, you know, what we see. Which, again, I think provided a lot of information, but didn't really give much on it. So when Sean and I were going over this, and thank you, Sean, for doing all the heavy lifting. I think it covers what we want, because we're, you know, and even Mike said this during this discussion, we're already part of the process, and we're going to find a location. Program.
That's a geotech done in,
Yeah. So if you don't have any problems with this, I'm going to move that we adopt this charge for the building. Is the motion made second, is there any additional discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
You guys could sign one of the copies for me, and I can give it to you as the official.
I do want to thank the building committee members who are here for coming. Appreciate it. You be here tomorrow? Going to be here tomorrow, Kevin? Okay, Matt, can you fit tomorrow? We'll try.
What's that?
There's one blank out, so if you just. Kevin copied there, so he has it.
yeah, I got it the other night.
We'll have Kathy send that out to all everybody. With that in your tax list. Thank you. Anything else we should be discussing while we're waiting for reviewing this?
No, not yet.
Wow. Some of you guys get paid very well. Charge very well.
It is fascinating.
It is.
Bit of a range.
Yeah. It's very ranging too.
It'll be interesting to hear these folks explain how they came up with their proposal.
Is Lorero coming back?
No, they dropped out of the process.
What shucks?
They, what is that? Did you post that? No. So Lorero sent us a letter saying that they would not be submitting, and they went into some detail that you really better verbalize what was in there, but they, a lot of the folks that were originally on board when they were awarded the contract originally are no longer with them, and that was a lot of their fire municipality experience. And they were in the midst of trying to do a fell through or didn't end up happening, and their current level of experience and their manpower isn't fit.
Specifically for fire stations.
Yeah, for what we need.
Those first three guys were pretty impressive.
They're very heavy. I say that because I've gone to a lot of meetings being on the CFP for Northfield about the PD. And the biggest thing with them is they're going to walk you through everything, and you have to have really strong stakeholders that tell them exactly what you want, or you are going to get a lot of big design work. That's what I've seen. That's the experience I've had with the Northfield PD.
Well,
It's the Turner Group.
The Turner Group.
Well, I picked up, you made a few comments and was like, we sort of gave you a pretty good outline of the program needs, and you're
Yeah.
talking like you didn't read that.
Right, right. I mean, they will start from square one.
Now, did they go up and do a walkthrough?
Yes, they did. John Smith and Haley, who wasn't here tonight, did a walkthrough with Turner Group. Michael Petrovic came up, the one we just put, he did a walkthrough with me, looked at all the stations, and then SMP, who we'll see tomorrow night, did a walkthrough. It was Jason, who was their principal, and then he brought 3 engineers. He brought a structural engineer to look at this building. Their structural engineer was up in the attic, looking all around, doing some stuff. And then they had a mechanical engineer and a civil engineer who had already looked over our project. So the 4 of them came up from SMP.
I also have a little concern because I think everybody's reading adjacency to this building, that they can put the building right on top of each other. If they do that, we're going to have a problem, aren't we?
Well, I think so. And again, Turner, they had that one slide where they were reworking them.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of room inside this
So
building.
that, again, is this whole thing. Even with Mike, he was like that with the plan to have some connection. And I think
You can have a connection from what I've talked to, as long as you don't affect the structural capabilities of the building. So
you could have a doorway coming in.
Yes. So it sounds to me, on 2 of the site walkthroughs, we spoke about it, and basically that's why we're calling it a link. There'll be a link, there'll be fire protection on both sides of that link, and separation, but you're not affecting the structural integrity of this building.
But
Once
these
you
guys didn't get it. The Turner guys didn't
Yeah,
get that.
the Turner, that was the first I'd heard about using the space. Both the structural engineer from S&P, when he saw this building, he's like, as long as we don't touch the structure, once we touch the structure of this
That's right.
building, we're going to, but I believe their plan was a link, and the same with Michael, he spoke that it's more of a link with basically however wide you want to make it, but, a doorway in is not really affecting the structural integrity of the building, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody say, though, that they, I forget the exact wording, they would be strongly promoting sprinkling in this building?
SMP was the ones, they would strongly promote, they believe in them. If you read the New Hampshire State RSA's, fire stations must be sprinkled. It doesn't say shall or should or how, they must be sprinkled, and we're not sprinkled. So
Does that affect touching the building?
I don't think adding a sprinkler system would affect the structural integrity of the building.
So we'd have to do that anyway.
Well, I think that's...
They must be sprinkled from, who the hell says so? This isn't now. Nobody's pushing our buttons to sprinkler it. And we think the cost would be to sprinkle this building.
If you're adding on to the other system, it would, if you were just sprinkling this building and doing nothing else, it would be substantial. But whatever we build over there has to be sprinkled. So you're just adding another riser. So it wouldn't be like adding, I don't think we'll need a fire pump. I think we have enough water out here to not need a fire pump. But, to add those risers and FTC and all that, that's already going to be part of the project. So you're just adding another riser. I don't think it'd be a substantial cost to sprinkle this building. But personally, again, I'm not a...
What part of the fire station must be sprinkled?
Limited for this for sure.
So I guess, should we ask the question with whoever we end up going with? If you're going to sprinkle a new building, what would it cost to sprinkle this part? At least now.
We just had one burned in New York not too long ago. Fire station.
Happens.
I mean, we had a truck fire right next door here, and if it had a sprinkler system, it probably would have substantially less damage.
Oh, yeah, something
So, hearing somebody has a budget number, someone spoke to these people with a budget number saying,
I spoke to what I thought the community would absorb. I did not give them a budget number. That was the first question everybody asked me. What are you guys looking to do? How much are you looking to spend? And I had my opinion of what I think this community, it was basically half of what we proposed last time. I said that's probably our max number. I said the lower you can go, the better, the less we can spend. But it is, when you talk to a construction, you have to, they don't know what you're looking for. And I know the $22.5 million wasn't going to fly. And so I said, in my opinion, half of that is probably what this community support. The lower that number can go, the better. But
And they didn't even give ballpark figures, did they, in their?
some of them did, some didn't.
Well, some of them, they were basing like their fee structure on a certain dollar amount. One of them was $8.5 million for the whole project. One of them was
10.
5.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that sounds more doable.
well, when the commissioners talked, we sort of went around the table and, and I love Paul's response. He's like, well, he thinks we could do 10, maybe up to 12. That the community would vote for. And then-
Don't say up to 12 and see if we get under 10.
So, I think, I would be really happy if it came in at $10 million and we could do whatever we wanted to do.
I think 10 would be adequate. And
That's
I think
why 6 people in each? Why do we have to have 6 beds? Why
What-
not 4?
what- so-
That could put 8 people on if you were fully staffed.
In 30 years, when you add 2 more, we're gonna build a bigger fire station.
No, they can add to the back of this one.
Exactly, so why?
So
But in 30
we
years,
put
you
fun
won't
in
care. You won't care.
I'm hoping I'm still around in 30 years.
So the thought on the 6 is we don't, in my opinion, we don't split the fire department until we're at 6 people. So if we only have 5 in the fire department, we're operating out of 1 station. So we need 5 there. Once we get to that 6th, we will hopefully split 4 and 2. But the bunk rooms are a room with no water, it's 98 square feet of a square. So to add from 5 to 6, you're only adding 98 square feet. So that way, when you upstaff for storms, when you upstaff for other events, you can have that.
Okay.
No,
You get a guest or a trainee or an apprentice or...
yeah. And I didn't add student bunk rooms. You could add a student program. Right now, they're not going great, but they could be going, 20 years ago, the student programs were wonderful. If we ever had a student program, it's a place for
They
them
bring
to
in a
sleep.
trailer.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that came up at 2 stations I visited were, one of them, they had the lockers in the bunk room. So before shifts, there was 4 lockers in there. And on both stations, they said that they prefer to have them outside of the room because during shift change, I come in and the firefighter that was up all night is still asleep in there.
Yeah.
And so I can just take a different room. And all my stuff is out in the hallway in a locker in the hall.
Which is a good idea.
So I don't have to disturb a crew member who's still sleeping.
Well, and you don't have to put 4 lockers in every room. That saves a lot of space, doesn't it?
Well, right. Right. It's not assigned to that room. So it just provides flexibility. And there's those little things that people said, when you put the lockers in the room, you're committed.
Yeah.
You put them all out in the hallway, and you add some flexibility. You never even think about it.
So thank you for answering that.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for the
it.
tour.
Yeah.
You run 4 and room number 6 needs to have a desk in it for something you didn't even know you needed to have a desk for another function. Good station coverage, I'll be able to come down and go to sleep.
Go to sleep, it'd be perfect. So we have had times, it doesn't happen frequently, but Aiden O'Brien, when he was a call member, used to stay over multiple nights and he would sleep on a futon like that black one, and just, or a blow-up mattress. This would allow him the space to, be a call member staying over. And eventually, someday, we're going to need more than 4 guys. It's probably not my lifetime, but,
Okay. Not
It
my lifetime.
depends if they build all these houses, these apartments they say they're going to build. We may need it
What
sooner.
apartments?
All in Tilton. It's well, you have all the houses going on over
Oh,
across
okay.
the road, and, but, if every project, which it doesn't happen, but if every project that we have plans for happens, we're gonna have a sudden increase in population in these two communities. Like I said, not every project does happen, but.
Right. And if you can answer, but almost up to 600.
Yeah, it was, I think it was cool. I thought 500 was a number in my head, but yeah, it was, new rooms, new, there's a 1 point, I don't know, there's a number, like they say, 1.6 people per apartment, right? So, 500 times 1.6, that's a pretty large increase.
So how much equipment are you planning on putting in on Sanborn Road?
Sanborn Road, what I envision is 2 ambulances, the engine, and then 1 other piece of apparatus. If I had to make a decision today, it would be the ladder or the tanker, but I'm not saying that it's really operational needs at the time
So
it
then how
happens.
much is here?
Then so what would be left here is 1 engine, 1 ambulance, and whatever the tanker or the ladder, the opposite. And then each station we have 2 utilities. One's the forestry, which is here, and each of them have a trailer. So the forestry has a trailer for that, and then the other utility is a trailer with a boat. And so whichever one went to one station, the other one. Those are operational decisions that
But how
probably.
many are here now?
And there'll be another ambulance. So the engine's here, the ladder's here, and 1 more ambulance from what you see.
Okay, you can come in.
Make sure we're like.
Ted Galante, nice to meet you. I got a bunch of people coming into 3 other people. We'll set up a screen and a projector.
Do you have an HDMI?
Yeah, beautiful.
Perfect. We'll be right there.
Thanks.
This is. The Galante Architecture
They are out of
Cambridge, Mass.
Yes.
I thought he said a federal defense grant.
Oh,
just stay in practice.
that's why.
Yeah, I have a question to ask you about it. I didn't feel it was the right moment to ask, but. Yeah, so that's what New Boston was able to do.
Yeah. Now, that's what I was wondering, I made a note about.
You're still recording. You're still recording.
You'll need another in-home care. You know how you have to train, stay good on anything.
For you guys, I already took it up that earlier, skills. That's for after.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
I put a boiler.
Totally cool, not at all.
So I have HDMI if you want it over here.
And on the other side of the table, we'll share.
No, the one is already
Yep, I got plenty of power over here and all that fun stuff.
Oh, I don't know. I need to know.
Put this, where do you think, where does the?
It depends how long your cord is. Do you have a cord or you want to use it?
I think we have one.
All right, because I got one right here that will, I don't think it will reach. Yeah, bring the whole back. So we'll have to bring the whole back.
Press in all the other ones. Just jab it. I've been on production for so long, that's what I managed to get. Good. Two black ones,
And I could bring another chair over here if you want to do it that way, or however you want to do it.
I haven't seen it in this I dropped it on my mother's on Tuesday morning.
Yes, but is the, there it is. So what's our, what do we got for game on?
Is yours, I mean, probably not any longer than this one.
Then we can stick with that one. And, can I just put it on this chair?
Yeah, you can put it right, I can bring another chair over if you
Yeah,
want.
that works. We could just do
I
that.
think I'm just gonna have to switch the, Oh, is that a DVI? I'm sorry.
What? I'm not sure.
No, that is a DVI. I gave you the wrong one.
Oh, okay, good. Thought I had one. Okay.
No, I gave you the wrong one. Actually, can I use your cord? Yeah, no problem. Because mine's zip tied with a wire.
Gotcha.
No, I hear you. My wife and I can see it. I think the one good thing that came out of COVID is that most of us decided to go laptops and work from home. But it's going to have a company laptop that else uses a personal laptop to do what we do. Of course, my kids, they have their laptops. I'm like, Scott, I can't get this.
All right, there we go. It's working.
Let me see if I can
I'll need that, yep.
with my IT guy. Hey Chris, so what's your poison? I need a favor here. My son did this. Can you fix it?
Chair right there you can use. Thank you. Getting more chairs.
1 second. We can get this set up and then we'll.
Here you go, Tom. Use this.
It's got a mesh drilling.
Okay. I think that works. What works for you guys for where we stand or sit? Here is good? Anywhere is good?
Anywhere's good.
Your voice is good too.
So,
What's that?
Your voice is good too. I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. That means I have a big mouth. Is that what you're saying?
I say that.
I'm Tim Sapp.
Hi, Tim. Ted Galante. Nice to meet you. Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
I'm Jason.
Jason, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Yep. Sean? Sean.
Started going in there and having. You're welcome to sit, stand, whatever you want.
Okay.
So the other members here are on the building committee.
Nice to meet you all. Ted Galante.
So basically, Sean, did you have any questions?
I just gave him the TED,
Okay.
so I don't know if he is.
Basically, our expectation for our meeting is for everybody who responded, and we're trying to compare based on everybody's different format for how they responded to our RFP. And so, looking for you to share a little bit, and then hopefully over the course of that conversation, we've answered these questions that we picked up.
Okay. Great. We'll start. We'll jump in, and hopefully we answer the questions. If there's other questions, please ask. I don't know if you have a formal format, but Happy to be interrupted or make it a conversation, whatever works best for you guys. We have a presentation that we put together that probably has too many slides, but we'll try and keep it simple and go through things and then converse. Does that make sense? Perfect. Great. So, Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS, Design and Engineering Services. We're going to go through key personnel, project goals and backgrounds, our project approach to these things, schedule and capacity, and then question and answer. And so, of the 97 slides, there's a bunch of it is in the appendix, just in case we need to refer to things. Start with myself. My name is Ted Galante. I started the Galante Architecture Studio 28 years ago. We've been around for quite some time, and we focus on public safety as our main core of our business. That's who we are.
I'm Yara Loxo. I'm principal at Galante Architecture Studio. I've been working for the firm for a little over 15 years. Been working very closely with Ted on multiple projects. And I would be the project manager, direct contact with everyone here in West Tilton.
I'm Patrick Curley. I'm with CES Consulting Engineering Services. We're the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection engineers for the project. I've been with CES for about 10 years. I'm on in the Concord, New Hampshire office. And I've been working since the get-go 10 years ago with Ted and Yar. Specifically on the New Bedford project was one of our first ones in Massachusetts, and since then, me and one other 5 years ago started our New Hampshire office in Concord.
You look familiar. Have we worked with you before on one of our previous attempts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He just has that beautiful baby face that you can't forget.
Well, it's a good memory. Yes, yeah.
My name is Scott Borsier. I'm with Gale Associates. We are the civil site engineers for the project. I have about 25 years of civil site experience. We concentrate on a whole plethora from civil site to public infrastructure. So we look forward to working with you guys and the Galante team on developing this and pulling what we need for resources in both the civil site design, infrastructure to the site, environmental permitting, everything else that goes with that.
We have a much wider team. We just brought a few, but we will go through a few other things. We've done some research. We've done some sort of looking into the history of the project and understanding where you've been, some of the design work that you had done before, some of the floor plans and proposals that were done. None of us can pronounce the name of the company. Lorero, I think, is the name. So we've done a little bit of homework. We understand the two sites. We understand the plan to get there. So we're aware, and we're willing to answer and talk about some of those buildings as well as our approach. But Yara's going to take us through a few things.
Yes. Ted talking about us as fire station experts. NFPA 1585 contamination, regulations and codes, the very important things to be thinking about when designing a fire station. It's paramount that you make sure that when the firefighters are coming back from a fire, that they go through the whole decontamination process and do not cross-contaminate the living areas and make sure that we clean the firefighters and their equipment thoroughly before they enter the building. Ted and I and another colleague and I have been presenting these kind of ideas nationally at Fiero Station Design Conference, a number of different conferences.
For the last 15 years,
yeah.
We've been regular speakers at those conferences.
So we looked at a building. This building is, just an overall floor plan fire station. You can see this is, broken up into warm, hot, and cold zones. So the hot zone is obviously the apparatus bay. That's where most of the contamination is being brought into the building. And then you have, what we could consider a warm zone, which is the gear room and the decon room, even though it's actually quite hot, because that's where, the gear is really being brought in and decontaminated. So, there's of course particles flying around in those areas. This overall plan, you can see it showing the decon shower on that right side of the building. So they go through their decontamination process and get showered on that side of the building, but then they're crossing through the hot zone into the living areas here.
I think it's on the next slide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the new Boston fire station?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're concerned about that.
Yeah.
Look, one of the things that we do, first responders take care of us, take care of all of us. We like to take care of first responders and make sure they're treated in the right way. And this plan raises concerns for us, because while the intent was to make it NFPA 1585 certified, there's a big gap in there. Like coming out of the shower and then walking back across raises concerns for us. So
Yeah, and then there's a very small, airlock that hopefully has negative air pressure in the HVAC design. So this is one of our projects, and again, you can see the hot zone in the apparatus side on the right, and then the warm side on the far right. But then you can see right in the middle, that's turnout gear and decon. So the process here, as you can see it there, we're focusing in on this area where you're coming through the apparatus bay into decon, and you want to go through this whole process step by step. So yeah, you get out, you're getting in here, you're going through gross decontamination. There's an emergency shower there, sink here for scrubbing boots and SCBA bottles. And then you're going into the regular decon. That's where you're actually putting the turnout gear into the machines for washing, laundry and dryer for just your regular street clothes. Then you go into the locker room where the showers are, and that's when you get fully cleaned out, and then you get into your new clothing, your regular street clothing, and then you're in the living area. So that's the real decontamination process that you want to take place in a fire station. You don't want to be cross-contaminating walking through the apparatus bay and contaminating other areas.
And part of this, why we talk about having been with conferences for so long, is that we were part of the conference group. We were not responsible for it. There are others that were in our conference group that were responsible for designating hot zone, cold zone. And then it became NFPA certified through the FIERO, is one of the conferences, Fire Industry Education Research Organization. And so we were there from the beginning and went through the starting components of 1585, and then it became certified through that group that we work with. And so we're really a little bit, let's say we're highly focused on it. Maybe that's the way to say it.
Yeah, so this is obviously one of your floor plans, but there's a where the apparatus bay is, there's that cold zone right on the other side of the door. Even though that's the lobby door, but that's not really a transitional airlock kind of situation. You're actually going right from the apparatus bay into the lobby where you might potentially have the public there. And then there's also the door on the top there, sort of same situation. You've got bunk rooms, the dorm rooms on the top left, but you're not going through decontamination. You could potentially go through that door without an airlock. This is also the same situation. We've talked with experts about these kind of ideas, and there's testing done. Somebody could go and test somebody's coffee cup in the kitchen dining area and find contaminants, find carcinogens in the coffee cup, because you literally have a door right off the apparatus bay that's connected to the kitchen. Down here, same thing. There's no airlock. There should be an airlock, even though that's mechanical, electrical. It's still connecting right to the dorm area, to the bunk rooms.
So clearly we're concerned about that stuff, and we don't mean to be harsh about it, but we want to make sure you guys get it right. You got one chance to do this. It's got to last 50 years, 75 years. We're trying to make sure we get it right. Temporary quarters is something we have a lot of experience with, and we know that there's going to be some temporary quarters or some strategy here about moving people around to get from one place to another. So, a small example, this is a building, an existing building from the 1960s for FDNY in New York City, in the Bronx. We left the rigs in quarters, but put the people in this set of trailers over here. This is a set of trailers. We helped the city rent part of the site next door, and built a little temporary bridgeway between the two while the rest of the building got renovated around that. And then once it was finished, we moved people back in. So that was a temporary quarter situation. We're currently in the final months of Cambridge Fire Station, Cambridge, Massachusetts Fire Station. Talk about tight site. This is a really super tight site. See the trucks over in that corner drilling geothermal wells. But we had to displace the firefighters, the entire company, all these guys, to get out for just under 3 years, actually. And we built a new temporary fire station, living quarters on that side, apparatus on that side. At the conferences, I met this group that's called Extreme Portable Modular, or Extreme Modular Portable. They make apparatus bays, right? It's a plug-and-play apparatus bay. Think about like an RV, but on steroids, where the roof lifts up, the sides bunk out, and the trucks fit in. And
those all connect together. They're fully.
Yeah. So this is one. That's one apparatus bay. It ships this line. It ships about this tall, but then that lifts up, and then the sides pop out. But you can also put them together. All the exhaust is already in. All the plumbing's in. And it's literally plug and play. And they're fantastic. They work really. The steel floors. They're off the ground by about I think it was like 14 inches, and you can either build them into the ground, or we couldn't touch the ground because it was contaminated, so we built an asphalt ramp up to it. But that's a 3-year thing. So there's a lot of temporary quarters ideas. Another project we did in Brooklyn, New York, there were 2 fire stations near one another, engine 217 and 235. Both buildings needed a full gut renovation. We did the outside of 217 while we did the interior of 235. Displaced 235, 217 covered, and then we switched. We did the outside of this one and the inside of this one. So there was a strategy of coverage area that allowed that part of the city to function well overall. Construction cost is another piece that I think you guys are concerned about that you think we need to talk about. So
yeah, actually, this sort of grayed out slide is a building that was a combination of concrete insulated forms and stick built. Really great way to be cost effective. This station is a mixture of masonry and steel on the right side for the apparatus. Hardened materials, good durable materials. For long-term fire station. Building, and then on the left side, the living areas. That's also a combination of steel and wood, so that the wood becomes more cost effective. This is the apparatus side where you can see the masonry and steel combination, and in fact we highlighted it architecturally by painting some of the steel black, and you can see the white insulated, ground face concrete masonry units. And this is their training room, conference room. But you can see large exposed timber framing. So that's a combination of steel and wood, just for cost-effective construction. So this is another project. One of our projects where it's just again combination of stick built on the living side, and then concrete masonry on the apparatus side of the building.
Which can be more cost effective, again, not throwing Guerrero under the bus, but having an all masonry building, there's a cost to that versus a stick-built version with a masonry side, right? The building has to be durable and last 50 years. Firefighters are tough guys. They beat things up pretty badly at times, as they should, right? They got to get in the building and put out a fire. But the living quarters side can be a little bit more gentle and a little more cost effective, and we find that strategy to work well.
Yeah, and this is another project in Salem, New Hampshire. It's currently in design. Same idea again. The steel and masonry on the right side. You can see the line right there, that pipe line down the middle of the plan. That's where the masonry ends, and the wood stick-built structure starts. Again, same idea. On the right side, this is the combination police fire Sally Port there on the right. Then you switch into the living areas. That's all the stick-built area, and then again, you transition over to the apparatus bay where it's masonry and steel construction. This is another North Wilmington. That was a plan. We just presented the plan. Same thing. You can see the stick-built idea.
So project funding and support, and I hope we're answering some of your questions. We didn't look. We do this a lot. We've been doing it for a long time, decades. We have, right now, very up-to-date New England cost metrics. The Exeter, New Hampshire Public Safety numbers were from January. North Billerica is one of the ones that we showed. We didn't show you this, I'm sorry. We got the numbers in February. We got another, and those are bid numbers. Chelmsford 3 and 5, same thing, bid numbers. And so that one's in. So we have a lot of numbers coming in, and we have a good trajectory of where numbers are going, where costs are going, and so we're always tracking those metrics. We pride ourselves in getting our numbers right. We spend your dollars as if they're our own, and we're careful about that. And so, Salem, New Hampshire, on the top left, the estimate was $38 million, came in at $37 million. I won't go through all of them, but you get the picture. We've been consistently under budget, and we're always strategizing during design about what's the base bid, what do we absolutely need to have in the project, and what's an ad alternate, what would be a nice to have. And do we bid the base and have the ad alternates still being competitive? There are strategies there. But one thing I'll point out is that Exeter, New Hampshire, it's police with a fire substation. Another architect did the initial design, went for funding. Their estimate was on the low side, and they got the project funded, but on town meeting floor, a citizen mandated that they would only approve the funding if the building was net zero. Net zero means it has to generate all of its own power. Net zero costs $1 million plus, depending on the size of the building. They didn't give Exeter any more money. We interviewed for the project, and they said, do you think you can build this? And we said, well, yeah, but we're going to have to make some drastic cuts and think really carefully about it. And so it's in construction now. It should be finished. I don't remember the schedule, but it's the steel frame is up, the block walls are up, and they're moving along quite well. So we were able to get the project for the reduced budget, even with net zero. And I know that you guys aren't specifically talking net zero, but just an example of our cost management. I talk a lot, and I help. We've helped people get things funded. This is in Salem, New Hampshire. I was on a podcast trying to get the project funded. This is just being in front of the public in Cambridge. In Orleans, Massachusetts, we got 72% town approval presenting the building. Salem, New Hampshire, we got 78% town approval. And then just recently in Wilmington, we got 95% town approval. Now, this isn't all us, right? This is everyone doing some good work, the fire chief and others doing some good work, but we're an advocate for you as we move through the project. I think we only have a couple more slides here.
Yeah, we talk about the schedule. So we saw the concept that you guys had about schedule. When we start, it's of course the initial programming, site analysis. We're talking June of 2026. And then we quickly move into schematic design once that analysis has been done. We know that actually quite a bit of it has already been done in your previous study. Then we move into design development in October. And then 3 months in, we're in construction documents and getting those out to bid. Winter, start of winter of 2027, and then transitioning into the construction administration period of the project, which is half of 2027 out. So we've got 11 months, 18 months of construction, and then closeout process is usually, we like to say, it's 2 months, sometimes it can be 3 months to kind of close out. So that's our kind of schedule, and this is the firm.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're meeting 2 of us. There's 30 of us. We're we have a deep bench, as we like to say. We focus on public safety. This is not something that we came to do 2 years ago. It's something we've been doing for a long time, and have been building widely in and around New England, as far west as Iowa, Davenport, Iowa, with studies in other places like Colorado, what have you. And so this is our gig. This is what we love to do, and I think we do it well. So we'd like to work with you guys to get these programs done. I glanced at the top set of questions and we started to answer them, but
I guess, we're working backwards from district meeting in March and getting district approval for some dollar amount to do a project. So I guess the question, I'm more concerned about what it's going to cost to get to the district meeting, and is the timeline to be out the cost for the district meeting, is that achievable based on the So I'm sort of in question 2 and 3.
yeah, I mean, I glanced. I think that there's also one about a construction manager. How would you work with a future construction manager? I guess I would stitch that in a little bit. There's a couple of ways to do cost estimates to get budgeting together for district meeting in March. We do cost estimates all the time. We have a lot of the metrics, but when a CM, a construction manager, is not involved, we have a cost estimating consultant on our team. You have the SOQ? Yeah. And they're listed in our they're either Ilana or PM&C. That's why I just wanted to look at our wider team because I don't recall exactly. But PM&C, these guys are people that we work with a lot, that do cost estimates for us a lot, and we trust them, but we also have the metrics to back up some of the work that they've done. So we can do the cost estimates with them as part of our consultant team and get that to you. Yeah, the wider team is in here, and it is PM&C. So one strategy is programming, schematic design, design development. I think we could be into design development. We can have a couple of cost estimates together. We can have, so without a CM, we do a cost estimate at schematic design. Schematic design is, you know what your buildings look like, you know the site plan, you know the floor plans, you know what they're generally made of, we have outline specifications, we have narratives from all the engineers, and we put a cost estimate to that. Check, we're on budget, wherever budget seems to be. We then go into design development. The engineers start to say, this piece of equipment or this piece of equipment. It's deeper than a narrative, it's more involved. We develop the wall sections, the building further, and we do another cost estimate of design development. Make sure we're still on budget. During construction documents, we do 2 cost estimates, one halfway through construction documents, because construction documents we're starting to define how the wall and the window and the wood trim meet, and if there's any special detail there or light fixture or other place, and the cost estimator is looking at them again, right? The valves are being specified, the type of civil engineering is being specified, the curb type. Cost estimator is looking at it again at 50%. We do that again at 90%. So there's 4 cost estimates when we do it, and you see it at every phase. The building committee sees it at every phase. And we make sure that we're on budget, where you want to be on budget. We can get that together by March, by your meeting, your district meeting, thank you, by March if need be. The other strategy, if you're going to, and that's without a construction manager, if you're going to have a CM involved, we would recommend that the CM get involved soon after schematic design, at early design development. I wouldn't call it too much of a future CM. I would try and get them involved early for pre-construction services so that they can work hand in hand with us. Yeah. And Pat specifies, you know, I don't know, a Train HVAC unit, and they say, well, I got a better one in this brand, and it's less money, and we don't only need this much electricity. They're involved in the development, right, of constructability. There's some money there. You have to pay for that.
But also value management, reducing the costs, suggesting ways to, helping the design team, design so that the costs don't go beyond the budget. Construction managers are very helpful with that, and just the concept of the HVAC unit, but it could be the site work, it could be the structural system. There's a number of ways that the construction manager can look at ways to save on reduce schedule, which of course reduce costs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but the CM RFP, I think we're going to be putting that out soon. And
yeah.
The CM would be looking to get hired. We'd look for your help in getting that CM on board at the end of the summer.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, that was I believe our...
Yeah, we'd like to be involved in that conversation because we have a hand in glove relationship to manage there, and that would be great. Yeah. But I think, from our perspective, getting to March is I think easily doable, assuming you guys, we can all meet and get all those things organized and decisions are made in a reasonable way and it's managed through. But we're comfortable with that schedule. That was one of your questions. I don't know.
Well, I guess the other one is more cost-based. Looking at the cost structure here, I'm assuming that number is for much farther down this road than what we need for district meetings.
Yes, that's through construction. That's through from today until ribbon cutting, and actually 11 months after ribbon cutting. Because we come back and do a warranty walkthrough and we say, hey, contractor, that fixture's not working, it's still on the warranty list, we've got to replace it. That's what.
So how does contracting work for pre-district meeting bond approval and after?
I don't know. We'd have to figure it out. I don't know the answer. We can figure out which set of phases. So the easy way to do it is in our normal course, there are 5 phases to any project, right? Schematic design, which is programming and schematic design, is the first one. So I don't know if that's going to light back up. There we go. So if I might, from here that way is one phase. That's generally 15% of our fee, and I can give you these numbers. I can write them back down for you or send them to you. This is 15% of our fee. This is 20% for design development. This is about 30%, 35%. This is 5%. It's not that much work. This is a hell of a lot of work. And then this is another 30%. So that's how the fee breaks down. And so if we pick district meeting of March, you're not paying for bidding and negotiations and construction administration because we're only taking you through here. So I don't think that that's exactly how you guys lined out your fee, but we can define that clearly. So we take our overall fee, 15, 20, 35. I'm sorry, 15, 20, 35. That gets us to district meeting. $15, $20, $35. I just want to make sure I don't. But that's what our normal And those percentages are the American Institute of Architects kind of gives us those five phases. They don't set fees, but they say these are the percentages of what it takes, and that's just what we've always used. So that helps.
Do you guys, do you have experience with smaller communities like our own? You know, a lot of these communities are much larger. Their district meetings are going to run differently. We're going to need some help for, you know, the public outreach. How do we get there? You know, we have a small community. There's only 9,600 people between the two districts. So we are a district, the two towns, so there's only 9,600 people here. Do you have experience with those smaller communities? Because I think the outreach, the way you reach those people is a little different than some of these larger communities.
Yeah, I mean, some of the projects we presented on are smaller communities than this one.
Yeah, we've always worked in small communities, and you know, mostly in Massachusetts, they're smaller communities, and we've worked with a lot of them over time, and have gotten things funded. I don't know that I can. Well, Townsend is one that I don't think we show you an image of, but is it on there?
Yep, right down here.
That's
a small community.
a tiny little community that we worked with and been successful. There, we've worked with New Salem, which is a small community. Goodness, there's a whole list. We've been at it for a long time.
Dennis is small.
Dennis is small in the winter, not so small in the summer. Exeter, New Hampshire is on the smaller side. It's a little bigger, but it's not that big. You know, ultimately, there are people involved, and they're concerned about their tax dollars, and they're concerned about their cost of living, and Lord knows everything's getting more expensive. But there's a real need here. I mean, you guys have a real need, and that's, we present that need and talk about that need and talk about its impact on you guys, on your current firefighters, and on your future firefighters. When we speak about this at conferences, we say, like, plan for 5 chiefs from now. Not this chief, right? 5 chiefs. Some chiefs stay for 15 years, some stay for 3 years. Plan for 5. Like, let's make sure that we get the right future plan for the fire department. It's much different. These buildings are much different than they were when they were all built. Like the knowledge is much broader than when they were built. And so it's relationships with people in the small communities, and we're happy to talk to what that means. Now, you guys can talk about what the tax impact means, right? FinCom, the Finance Committee can come in and say, well, this is, your tax dollars are going to go up X% for this many years as we float the bond. That's not our bailiwick, right? You guys do that. But we can talk about the need and the requirement for building a station that's going to last the right amount of time, but doing it in a cost-effective way. You don't need masonry for the living quarters. I'm not convinced of that. I also don't think you need to build masonry bearing walls the way it was proposed, and then put the steel in place. That drags out the schedule. Get the steel frame in place, infill the walls, you move a lot faster because you're not wrestling with trades, you're not waiting for a trade. So there's things that can happen that can navigate that a little more seamlessly, I would say. I'm glad you have a mezzanine. It's good for training props. It's good for use of space. We like to put those in. You can't always afford them, right? That's not always an affordable piece, but that might be a nice to have that can be strategized later. Firefighters are great at building things. You get the base building in place, get the walls up, build the low-hanging spaces, a turnout gear room, a proper turnout gear room, and just stick some steel across and let the firefighters in 5 or 10 years plywood the floor and build a mezzanine if that's what's needed. So that's how we try and approach these things. Oh yeah, that's the state of Exeter right now. Doris, they're clicking through. Go back a couple. Yeah, Exeter is actually moving. I think they're 2 months ahead of schedule. That's why I want to have a say in your CM. There's some that are really good.
I think so at this time. I mean,
You know, the site, keeping this site active while you're building. I know there was a discussion about keeping this building and building next to it.
yeah.
But there was one of, was on that side, yeah, one of them, one idea was shot down because you'd have to seismically upgrade this building, or you have to, you talk about overbuilding on it.
So the thought was, I know you guys didn't do a site visit, right? So the thought, the other site was a nice flat, perfect site. That's where the headquarters would be. So new building, that would replace our headquarters that we have now. And then this would probably remain a substation, leaving these way it is now, and building some sort of link so you don't structurally impact this building. And then we have room behind, we have room over here. We don't design, we're not engineers, we're not. And we look for that, you know, which way and how. We purchased land from the state, so our land now goes all the way to the interstate here. So we do own all the way there now. We do have some problems with some utilities, but they're pretty far away from this building, so we probably wouldn't get to.
Good. I heard one presentation where they were talking about not being able to use this building, and I didn't entirely believe that presentation, so that's why I wanted to.
We've gotten very different opinions from different people, whether we can do, what we can do and what we can't do.
I think that was a piece of, just a spoke of the wheel as to why the taxpayers felt a little not ready in the prior proposals. They saw value in this piece still. And why level this if you couldn't, or could this be an office and put the base somewhere else? There was value that was perceived here with the ownership. It's just not the Yankee way.
I mean, I kind of agree. I do think there's something worth saving. I think that is possible. I think that's one of the differences maybe about working with a design build firm or an independent design group and an independent contractor, right? I think that'll be a discussion. CM may say, level it, let's get rid of it and start anew, right? The design team may say, well, no, we can strategically do this. And so there's a whole conversation out there. That's why I say I like a CM to come in and design development after a certain amount of decisions are made during schematic design. Given our experience, we're not going to make bad decisions. They may have good ideas about how to adjust things, but we're not going to come up with recommendations that aren't moving the project in the right direction in a positive way, as well as Well, you guys have been at this. You've had a few interviews today, right? So I think we're the last one.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying awake.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I mean, I think we're interested in the project. It's right up our alleyway, and we'd love to work with you guys. So, if you need anything about what you were asking about fee-wise in writing, happy to respond officially. If you want to chat about it, we can.
I think that might be fair for Apples to.
All right, I want to just ask for that. So, how much does it maybe get us to district meeting?
Okay. And we're going to assume construction documents was district meeting, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. We will give you that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thanks, you.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I'm going to wait till we close the meeting before we start. Listen to all the plans. So we're just going to put them ready to go. We're going to do them again tomorrow. They were going to bring me all at 300. I was like, no, I need the 25.
You didn't bring in the 20 people that showed up.
Yeah, I didn't know if the whole building was going to come.
Given all the chaos at the beginning, this is our court, right? This is our court?
That is your court,
okay.
yes.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't walking away with your...
That's your, I believe that's yours
mouse pad,
also.
too?
Yep.
Expensive mouse pad.
But I'll wait till you close the meeting out before I clang and Mackenzie is.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, sure.
Thank you all very much. Good to meet you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You guys.
thank you.
Thanks again.
Lot to process.
I think all of them, something.
Well, and you try to, person.
Yeah.
Right.
But they all have, each one has something they want to do different.
It was interesting to see the new Boston fire station, which is another of our elementary schools.
Well, we have some homework, we'll follow where our and in order to detail it in an RFP, so that's not what we want. But they put the point out.
Again, they,
Which is good. Everybody's got an angle.
yeah, this was one of the two that did not do a site visit.
All right, any other business?
Notes from the floor.
Any comments from the building?
That's tomorrow.
So tomorrow we have two. Same thing here at 5:30. And I think we'll have one that we're, again, going to be surprised at, and one that we're, it's going to be more of our own.
I think, you know, everybody's had experience in fire stations. You know, plenty of experience in fire stations, which, you know, I think that was one of the things when we built the PD and Tilton, finally did it. It wasn't the credentials, it was the fit and the personality and the vibe, and it was just a feel thing, because anybody could draw a building. It was the relationship and the rapport, which, if we're doing our job right, we would detect as to whether that would translate to the district meeting.
And I did notice in these proposals, a couple of them use the same engineering firm.
Estimated.
Yeah, one of the firms that they use was listed. So, I mean, obviously these people all,
Are you required, just asking a stupid question, are you required to take the lowest bid?
we are not.
But town is, but they get beat up if they don't. That's something different.
I was never a little big guy. You take the most responsive.
Yeah, that's bang for the buck. It's the most focused.
Okay. I just don't
Yeah, and,
Well-
and that was one of the things that the legal counsel helped us with writing the RFP was not to write it in such a way that you pigeonhole yourself into lowest bidder or a set of criteria that you had to rate or
Yeah.
You don't have to take any.
Well, the last,
They reject them
just
all.
the last presentation was 3 different companies sitting there. They don't all work for Gallant, I think, right? You know, separate firms if they partner with.
well, it's, you said that S&P, he brought
He brought, yeah,
an engineer.
Yeah, they must outsource their civil, outsource their, you know, it's not everything needs services.
All right, any other discussion before we close the meeting?
Motion approved.
All right, we have a motion by Jason to adjourn, is there a second? Second. All second that, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. It is now 7:51 PM.
2 hours, 20 minutes.
That's not too bad.
We're still recording on here.
Okay, still recording.